I don't know what happened. Come on back in here. Come on back in here. Let's see, how's it going now? We good? Hey, back. Yeah. It was going good on my end. If it does that again, just refresh your browser, I guess, because it was going good on my end. Y'all was saying it went black. I was like, I don't know what the fuck happened. All right, cool. Oh, yeah, you good? Okay. What was I talking about when it froze? Where was I at when it froze? I don't know when it froze. I just saw y'all saying, y'all, I was seeing y'all messages, but shit, I didn't know it froze. What was I saying when it froze? Nobody wants you when you're down and out. Nobody wants you. Said Bobby Womack. Salute to Argentina. I haven't spent enough time listening to it, Nico, to have thoughts yet. Oh yeah, I'm talking about African music. Yeah, but did you see? Look how easy it is for me to debunk the Africa people because, and I'm not mad at them because I would have been saying the same shit 10 years ago. You know, because that's what you're taught. Especially once you get into the pro-black space. You know, you grow up on John Henrik Clark, Dr. Ben, and then you hear a lot of people talk about music. You're going to hear Africa this. We're always taught to point to Africa, point to Africa. At the same time, appreciate that, Godzilla. At the same time, they'll tell you that we were stripped of all of our culture and couldn't bring drums. Remember that? Remember we were told that? So if it's true we were stripped of our culture, if it was true we were stripped of our instruments, why do y'all keep saying our music is African? When we were hundreds of years displaced from Africa, one. Two, you can't find the tribe in Africa whose music sounds like ours. Not one. Yeah, her 300 years removed from Africa. So at what point do our music become ours? But did you see how easy it was for me to like debunk that? Because all drums are not African. I'm sorry to tell people that. Drums are indigenous to the to the land that they're in. They're indigenous to the immediate materials. And they all sound different across the world. And they have different functions and different purposes within the music. In Africa, the drums lead the music. Polyrhythmic drums. What's up, Sinister? The polyrhythms, multiple drums playing different colors in African drums. Drums are very selfish in America. It's one person. And our drum set isn't comprised of just drums. It's drums and cymbals. It's a 50-50. The cymbals are as important. They're equally as important as the drums. The hi-hat and the ride cymbal are equally as important as the snare and the kick. They split duties. This foot here drives the music. The foot drives the music here. The snare keeps you reminded of where the beat is. The hi-hat gives you the tempo, the ride. You got your associates, that's what's up. So you got to understand that there's a 50-50 relationship between cymbals and drums on the Black American drums. Show me the African tribes that rely as heavily on cymbals. Where's that African music at? You know? So, why don't they ever go to the Japanese people when they got them big ass 10-foot tall drums? Why don't everybody ever go to them and be like, you know this African, right? Why don't nobody ever do that? Nobody ever goes to a classical orchestra and then go to the timpani and be like, you know the timpani is African, right? No one does that. You notice they only do it with us? They don't go to them. They don't bother Japanese people with that bullshit. And they dare not step to a European and tell them anything theirs is African. They only do that to us. Yeah, right, Slide. The school lunch table is an instrument. Shit. More beats got produced on a school lunch table than anything else. And the way you use your wrist and your knuckles, that has nothing to do with how you play the African. That's not how Africans play their drums. Press number one if you grew up in the 80s. Remember that song Supersonic? Which actually predates Miami bass. Miami bass started in LA. But you remember Supersonic? Supersonic. Nigga, whoever could play Supersonic on the lunch table was the baddest motherfucker in school. Y'all remember that? JJ Fad, yeah, whoever could play Supersonic on the lunch table was the baddest motherfucker at the lunch tables. He could play Supersonic. Remember that? We don't go to the lunch table and go do 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 do. You notice that? Name the one lunch table beat that was do 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 do. You wasn't playing that old silly ass beat at the lunch table? Nigga, we playing supersonic. Doom, 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 doom. Man, we got a different beat. We have a different beat here. And I don't know what's so hard for people to acknowledge that. The beat is different, and that's fine. We created our own beat. We're creative people, man. And it's not African. It's just not. Show me in Africa where they play a backbeat. Now you can play that if you're talking about African music after the 1960s when they were trying to imitate what we was doing. Some Fela and different artists, Hugh Masekela. Hugh Masekela, Grazed in the Grass. Because Hugh Masekela was a bigger act than Fela Kuti. I think I love Fela and everything, but Hugh Masekela was a bigger act in the 70s. Fela Kuti was just learning the funk when Hugh Masekela was. Remember, Hugh Masekela took Ronnie Laws from Earth, and Fire. That's how big Hugh Masekela was out of South Africa. Hugh Masekela, Ronnie Laws started playing the horn, the sax, with Earth and Fire. He left Earth and Fire to join Hugh Masekela's band. But before Hugh Masekela adopted American instruments and became the biggest act in outside of America for a while in the early 70s. And remember, do y'all know who? Do y'all remember that dude that did the X Games on ESPN? Sal Masekela. Sal Masekela was Hugh Masekela's son. Sal Masekela from ESPN. That's Hugh Masekela's son. So when people talk about all that Africa stuff, we don't even use the same instrument. We don't use the same instruments. We don't use the same scale. They have the 5-note pentatonic scale. We have the 7-note scale. They don't use the same scale. They don't count on the same beat. We don't use the same instruments. And so when we are so quick to jump to Africa, see, here's the trick. The trick bag is to get you so focused in on Africa that you don't look at what's happening right in front of you. And like I told people before, like when I told people before, when it comes to our music, we have our own beat. We have our own sound. We have our own thing. And that has to be acknowledged. Like, when you focus on Africa, you don't see what's happening right in front of you. Like I said before, if you talked to me 10 years ago, I would have been saying, yes, our music is African because of the banjo. I was told the same shit. Look at the banjo. Look at the drum. All this African. Ooh, look at Africa, Africa. And then one day, I also started listening to more indigenous African music. And it's like, let me see. Because I was looking at the drums. I was like, man, I don't see the drum set nowhere else. So started just paying more and more attention to it. Like, it's probably like 2020, during the pandemic. I started paying closer attention to Caribbean music, African music, watching the instruments that they use, listening to the sound and counting. I'm like, damn, we don't count the same. We don't use the same scale, and these drums aren't African. I started like before the pandemic, 2018, 2017. I really started to go into hardcore research on the drum set. Cause me and my wife, we be going to these Latin jazz concerts, and you don't really see an Afro-Cuban, and we listen to like we go to like a lot of these shows, these African music and then native. If it's something in Leimert Park or at LACMA, the other kind of museum of art, they had the Latin music on Saturdays, and I would just look at the instrumentation. Like the instruments are different, and that's when you look at it, okay, who history of the drum set. I went and started just looking up the history. I asked Google to research books on the history of the drum set, and I came across some. And that's when I was like, oh shit. The drum set was invented in America. Appreciate that, Hurt. Well, I want to say, Bray, I'm curious, I'm like, because I play the drums. I'm like, well, I used to play. I don't really call myself a drummer no more, but it's just like, I know I play the drums and I play the congos. I got people talking to me about African drums. Look what I got next to me right here. I got me some good old African and Latin percussion. Shakers. I know about my African instruments, yo. I know all about them. I know the difference, and I know the difference in function. I play the percussions in church. I play the percussions for you. I play the percussions too. So I know the difference. And being a drummer, I know where the math lays, you know? So I had to change my stance on everything being African. And if we created the drum set here and our music and American music is centered around the drum set, then that's all I need to know. Then I was like, okay, history of the trumpet. Looking that up. History, saxophone. That's how I know the saxophone was invented in the 1800s, mid 1800s. By a white man, I forgot his name. Something Sax was his name. It was something Sax. And like a lot of your African stuff, the African music and the music of the Caribbean are much more closely tied together. Step dancing, it's another form of music. One thing about us as a people, if it ain't no instruments around, we will use ourselves as an instrument. Using our body as an instrument, the same thing as using a lunch table as an instrument. A drum is whatever you tap it on. That's a drum. Don't let these people over confuse you. Drums are African. So you mean tell me Africa's the one told the whole world to tap? They see a table and tap on the table? People from China and fucking Amsterdam and Australia. You mean tell me them niggas in Australia got on the boat to go to Africa, to go back to Australia, to learn how to fucking tap on a ledge or tap on a rock to make a drum sound? You know what I mean? We got to think about this. So people had to wait for Africans to tell them to tap on something to make a drum sound? Is that what they're saying? The people that was here in America didn't know how to cut their own trees down in their own backyard and kill a bison or a sheep or something and use the skin to create a drum. They had to learn that from Africa? Is that what people are saying? Gotta really ask these questions. And they said the first African drum was found in America, one that's in the Smithsonian, in America, dates back to like the 1860s. But the wood used to craft that drum was wood out of like Virginia. Dog is chilling. Do I still have a drum set? Yeah, I'll always have a drum set the rest of my life. I don't have it here with me, but I'll always have a drum set. Even though I don't play regular, even though I started playing regularly back in 2011, I'll always have a drum set. I gotta sit here and get my foot in shape. Yeah, when you say that's the thing. Well, drums are African. You mean tell me the people that the Olmecs had to learn from the Africans how to get a piece of wood? And, drums are indigenous to wherever your feet stand. Everything's a drum. Drums are gonna be relevant to your environment. You know? You just gotta be bold enough to question what you're told every day. And just look and ask questions and see what you're looking at. Let what you're looking at and what you read and do get further information. Let that tell you the answer, draw the conclusion. Can't be so stuck on what you was told. I was told everything was African too, and I will argue you down. But most of what I'm talking about, I didn't learn from anybody. I just paid attention myself. Cause if 10 years ago I heard somebody say this about the drum set, I would have been able to pick up on it immediately. Like, oh yeah, you're right. But everyone was saying Africa. No, African drums. That's the point I'm trying to bring home to you, Black Gossip. African drums and American drums are completely different, distinctly different. Africans don't play with a snare drum. They play with mallets and blocks, but not sticks. Where is it? I don't have it in here. Africa's got these claves. These are Africanese wood claves. We play with sticks. They use their hands and they have mallets. We cymbals. They don't use our cymbal. Our Black American drums are 50-50 drums and cymbals. Africans don't use the cymbals regularly, and the cymbals that they do use are either handheld or a gong. What made me question it? Always been around live music from around the world. I'm always been watching. I probably hit up at least 7 or 8 concerts a year that are Latin, quote unquote Latin. At least 2 or 3 a year that are quote unquote African. I go to classical, you know. I just watch. I just look. Damn, I don't see a drum set back there. Why not? For years, I wondered why I didn't see drum sets. And And I was, and anytime I went to go see African music, I never saw a drum set. And being a musician, I know that American music is centered built around the drum set. The drum set. There's no way. Imagine 7 niggas playing the African drums with Whitney Houston singing. Would the song sound anything alike? We have completely different sounds. The drum set creates a groove, and the rest of the band play in the groove that the drum set creates for music. Okay? If I had my laptop down here, I play some musical examples, but I don't. The drum set creates the space for everything else to act. See, the drums in America creates the space and the time, but the center of our music is the piano. The piano, how would a Herbie Hancock piano solo sound with 9 Africans playing some fucking drums? Would you even be able to hear Herbie Hancock's piano? If it's a whole bunch of people playing some drums? In Africa, the drums are front and center. That's what you're listening to. In America, you're listening to the piano. The drums just lay the foundation for the piano to work around. The piano is what you're listening to here. In Africa, you're listening to the drums. In America, you're listening to the piano. Or the guitar, if there's no piano. The drums set the table. The drums and the bass set the table. Most people don't even notice it. That's why they can lie to you niggas all day and say all drums are African. Why? Because you know that most of y'all ain't looking at no damn drums. You hear the drums, but y'all ain't paying attention to the drums. You're not. You're paying attention to the singer. You're paying attention to that guitar solo that just happened. You're paying attention to the piano solo. No one pays it. Even when we go to a concert, if the drummer gets a solo, that shit's at the end of the show. When last time you seen a drum solo on the third or fourth song in a concert? You're not. Most drummers ain't even gonna get no goddamn solo. The drummer's time to solo is at the end of the song when they tag it. The song's over, when that part to go, dun, then the drummer get off. Boom. It's the only time the drummer get to show his shit. Y'all don't pay attention to no goddamn drums. That's why y'all gotta live. That's why when I'm talking about drums, it's best that you listen. Y'all don't even pay attention to them. I know. That's why I like playing the drums so much. Comedy was hard for me because I had to be out front. And I don't like being out front. I had to learn how to be out front. The drums were easier because the drums are in the background. No one watches the drummer. If American drums are based on African drums, tell me how. Black American drums aren't even counted on the same beat as African drums. Just listen to African drums. All y'all gotta do is listen. See, what they did with music is they got people thinking music has become a head thing for people. Well, y'all just think too much. All you gotta do is listen. Listen to African drums. Just go listen. And then listen to Parliament Funkadelic. What's up, Nandi? You're back. Go look up African songs. I can't guide you. I can't hold your hand. You could just Google African songs. Indigenous African music. Just Google Indigenous African music. Google some Indigenous on YouTube. Go on YouTube. Type in traditional African drums, traditional African music. Just do that. And a million options are going to show up of traditional African music, and listen to it. And then when you're done listening to that, go listen to Rick James. They're doing two completely different things. It's two completely different functions. That's like saying, okay, that's like comparing a forklift with a Porsche. Yeah, they're both motor vehicles. And that's where the comparisons stop, right? Would you compare an 18-wheeler with a Toyota Camry? The only common bond an 18-wheeler got with a Toyota Camry is that they're motor vehicles. It's the only bond you got. The function is completely different. That's like saying, man, uh, all you gotta do is listen. But when you listen to American music, you could easily tie American music back to Europe. All you gotta do is listen to Barry White. Listen to some Barry White if you want to hear some European music. If Mississippi blues music used the pentatonic scale, I'd roll with you. But it doesn't use the pentatonic scale. It uses the good old American scale. That pentatonic scale myth is just because we use the black keys. The pentatonic scale, the similar notes are using the use of the black keys. American music, Black American music uses the black and the white keys. Because that's what we taught the Europeans to do when we invented the piano in Europe. Call and response. Indigenous America use call and response too. What do you think a smoke signal is? See, here's the thing. You cannot rule out Indigenous America because they don't talk about Indigenous American music. The most important instrument in our music is probably the piano. It's probably the piano. Songs are recorded. Songs are created around what the piano's doing. Somebody said, "Why about Barry White?" Listen to Barry White. What do you have? You have an orchestra behind him. Barry White plays with an orchestra. European instruments. The harpsichord. Go listen to the song "Baby, Baby Please." Can't you see a thing? Can't you see a man? Honey, please. Honey, please. That's a harpsichord. Harpsichord was invented around the Johann Sebastian Bach era of European classical. That's when the harpsichord became a thing in the Bach era. That's where the harpsichord comes from, not Africa. But what do you see Johann Sebastian Bach wearing in his pictures? The wig. Anytime you see a white dude in a wig, that's them imitating their black Moorish teachers, the afro. So y'all see that white wig? We're so conditioned to thinking Europe it was all white. Where do you think they got that white putting a wig on for? Who were they looking at to create that wig? That was them showing you their love and dedication to their African, their black, their swarthy skinned Moorish teachers, which who've been in Europe for thousands of years. Yeah, the white wig is them imitating black people. Not imitating, that was appreciation. It's like fashion. The same way a lot of hood rats were be like having blonde hair. Because a lot of them hood rat motherfuckers worship white people, so they want to have blonde hair. They were worshiping the swarthy skinned teachers, so they put it on wigs. None of that shit's African. The instruments create the song. And when you get to the music, to the instruments created in Japan after the 1960s, those were all cheap imitations of natural American instruments. The drum machine is an imitation of the drum set. The drum machine is mimicking the drum set. The drum machine does not mimic African drums. The keyboard mimics the piano and the horns, strings. So the instruments created out of Japan post 60s were imitations, were synthetic versions of natural acoustic Black American instruments. See, again, they'll get you so focused in on Africa, you're not looking at what you're looking at. We got a whole thing going on here in America, and no one's paying attention to it because you're so focused on Africa. Meanwhile, all of Africa is trying to get up on what we doing. You see that Jedi mind trick they play with y'all? Afro beats is using Black American instrumentation, Black American samples, Black American stylings. The rest of the world, Africa's trying to be us. The biggest act in Africa was, like I said before, Hugh Masekela playing Black American music, Fela playing Black American music, Burna Boy playing Black American music, sampling Tony Braxton, and they got you niggas focused on Africa while Africa's focused on you. You see how that works? You so focused on Africa, yet Africa's focused on you. You want to so focus on Latin America, yet Latin America's focused on you. Afro-Cuban didn't come until we created bebop. Every advancement in Latin music since they started coming to the Americas in the 1930s has been after we created it. We create big band, they get salsa. We create bebop, they get Latin jazz and bossa nova. The world is literally following our lead, and you niggas is focused on Africa. Y'all see how that work? And then you be like, man, we be signing these bad deals and we just give our stuff away. Yeah, we give our stuff away because all the kids are listening to you, to the adults, say everything they do is African, so they don't have no fucking value for it. It's the reason why we don't value our stuff. It's literally a one-to-one connection. Black people don't value their creations. Well, most black people think their creations are African, so why should they value it? See how that works? The rest of the world, a European, can come to America, can be a fucking immigrant to America, moved here when he was 10, invent something when he 20, been in America for 10 years, and that's an American invention. You see how that works? A European could be here for 2 fucking years, invent some shit here in America, and what's that? What is that invention gonna be? It's gonna be American. It ain't gonna be Hungarian or it ain't gonna be Irish. No, it's gonna be American. Meanwhile, black people can create our own damn distinct thing over a 400-year period, but we gotta still say it's African. And then I do my best to enlighten y'all, and I'm trying to tell y'all what's indigenous to us, what's ours. And I gotta spend most of my time with people trying to pick straws to find something African. Well, the banjo. Okay. When's the last time you seen a banjo in our music? Oh, the drum. Okay. When's the last time you heard African drums in our music? Oh, the pentatonic scale. Okay, so when's the last time you heard us only use 5 notes instead of 7? It's easy. You focus on Africa and Africa's focused on you. You're right. Elon Musk don't claim Africa. No one go around saying Tesla's African. It's South African because Elon Musk is a CEO and he's South African. You ain't never heard nobody say Tesla's South African or PayPal. You don't hear South Africa connected to Starlink. They don't go around saying, oh, Starlink come from South Africa. SpaceX is a South African company. No one does that. It's just American. Meanwhile, I can show you that I'm literally telling niggas insurance that was created here in the United States of America 130 years ago and was only in America until global expansion, globalism in the 50s and the 60s, other parts of the world started to see it. And then y'all want to give credit to Africa. When them niggas didn't even fucking come get you. You stuck over here all these 100 years. Ain't been not one African canoe to come rescue your ass. And you want to be the first one to give away your beautiful, precious inventions to Africa. Somebody said, why I say black Americans in? Because black America is an official categorization. It's an official race in the United States of America. Your social security number is tied to it. Money's tied to it. Business is tied to it. And if you choose to not mark black on your thing and say, I wish not to answer, they're going to read your black ass name. Oh, his name is Javante Smith, nigger. So whether you choose to mark it or not, you're still black. And I'm fine with that. I like black. I'm cool with it. Everything comes from black. Soil is black. The universe is black. What's wrong with black? I love black. All creation comes from the black. All colors come out of black. Of course he says it's American, because American, the de facto American is white. That's the world you live in. Let's not play stupid now. The de facto world you live in is white. The de facto term for American is white. So out of our cultural and ethnic pride as Black Americans, when we do something, we put black in front of it to make sure that you know it wasn't somebody white that did it. We want to make it very clear, nah, this person wasn't white that did it, they were black. We take pride in that here in America. I see it as a sense of pride. Go look up Webster's definition of an American in 1828. American, originally ascribed to the copper-colored individuals that were seen here, that were upon the arrival of the European, now adapted by the European. So American, we all know American means white. That's fine. Let them have it. I'm Black American. Because I could play political jujitsu. I could play jujitsu with that. Everything American's white? Okay, so let's go down to all the things that Black Americans create and do here. Yeah. This nigga said Malik. Let's leave Malik Yoba out this shit. He said, why bussy? See, we've been conditioned to think that black is bad, so we run from it. Oh, I'm African. I'm this. No, I love black. Everything comes from black. Everything. Go do an X-ray picture of somebody when they put on sunscreen. When you ever see them pictures like them heat sensor pictures, when the person puts on sunscreen, they're basically rubbing black on their skin. That's what sunscreen is. It's clear to our eyes, but when it's seen through other filters, you're basically rubbing black on you. I'm all the way cool with that. You see how it works? Again, going back to African drums. You're so focused on Africa, you're not watching what's happening right in front of you. We're talking about an African banjo, but every song you hear is centered around a piano. Ain't no fucking banjo in 100% of the songs that you guys listen to. "100% of the songs that are in your rotation don't have no banjo. 100% of the songs that are in your regular rotation that ain't got no African drums. 100% of the music that's in your rotation, the chords and keys are based on the 7-note American scale and it's piano or piano derivative bass keyboard. Then on my documentary, I'm done filming, so everything's in post-production right now. But we have all these intricate details of our music, but everybody wants to run back to Africa. And then wonder why we give our stuff away so cheap. You give away what you don't value. And if you don't think something is yours, you probably won't value it. It's natural. Yeah, techno and house is just electronic versions of disco music. House, Chicago, techno, Detroit, and L.A. L.A. rap was techno bass up until Dr. Dre. Yeah, disco is black. Appreciate that, Bobby Vegas Gaming. First disco song was Barry White. Disco comes out of LA and Philadelphia. And disco never died, it just changed forms. It just went into house music, world beat, dance, or what they call dance music. Dance music is disco. See how that works? What I rate John Stockton? John Stockton's a top 6 point guard. He's a top 10 point guard. I moved Chris Paul ahead of him. Magic, Isaiah, Chris Paul. Pistol Pete. I never saw Pistol Pete pay. I saw Oscar Robertson. Enough video of him to put him up there in that top 5, but John Stockton probably rather Oscar Robertson. How do I get in the Cardology? The cards called me. My wife is telling me that she had her grandfather used to read cards. I was like, you can read playing cards? And I said, I want to do it. And then the day I said I want to do it, I found some books the next day and got into it. Took a few classes, and then off we go. I've been here with y'all for a long time. It's almost 1 in the morning. I'm about to get up out of here, y'all. I got some music to listen to. I'll be with y'all tomorrow. I'm on Patreon. I'm gonna have my interview with the company, man. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking some music. All right. Thank y'all for listening. I appreciate that, New Don. I appreciate that. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, man. I'll holler at y'all.